You've said that 2023 is going to be just booming for commodities and precious metals. So can you expand on kind of why your reasoning behind that and why you see it 2023 as so positive for the commodity sectors?
Well, I think that through 2022, we ignored and avoided many of the problems that were here. Okay, we have a food shortage. Believe it or not, there's a food shortage. You know, the Russia-Ukraine belt of grains is a big area. It's 30% of the world's production. Two of the major producers around the globe, Argentina, Brazil, and Australia, had very bad crops a year because they're on the opposite calendar as we are. We're going into winter, they're going into summer. Weather's been a problem, so we have a shortage of food. You're already seeing in the grocery stores $5 and $6 for a loaf of bread. Okay, so what's going to happen? I think these are going to come to fruition. That these shortages are going to play because demand will outweigh supply, which will of course drive up prices. The other point what you're looking at is when money comes out of equity markets, which it will, okay, it's going to go somewhere. And typically one of the best places for money to go is commodities. And then of course we get into the gold and silver part of the commodities, which are hard asset commodities. Those are like going a home. Those are some security for those who are concerned. And at some point, Elijah, we may have to use gold and silver as a currency again. You know, the paper currency is worthless. The fraudulent fiat currency system is garbage. They all want to get to a worldwide digital coin because that will allow the central banks around the globe to continue to steal the money. Okay, so this is the problem that you're looking at that we have not addressed, nor does anybody want to address it, because obviously people would get very crazy if they knew what was going on.
You mentioned that it seems like we have to return to a gold-backed currency or some sort of precious metal backing to the currency, or we have to use that as money. And that's what's happened throughout history. Whenever currencies die, people, ask for precious metals to be used as money again. There is speculation about the BRICS nations doing this. Do you have any, what's your take on any movements you're seeing towards using precious metals as money?
No, I don't think you're going to ever see a backed security from currency, right? I don't think the US dollar is ever going to be backed by gold or silver. I don't think any of them are ever going to be backed. I think that the central banking system and the Federal Reserve are so fraudulent that they don't want backing because it takes away their ability to steal the old man's bundle, right? But I believe that you could get to a point. Now, again, I don't want anybody to get crazy and nervous like the world's coming around tomorrow, but I do believe that everybody should have some ownership in gold and silver, but there may be a time that the dollar that you have in your pocket is worthless, that nobody wants to take it anymore, and they're going to force you to pay gold or silver. You remember, a hard-ass commodity that you can touch, feel, and look at is a lot better than a piece of paper that says a Federal Reserve note or whatever it says around the rest of the globe.
And I know a lot of clients ask me this question, like, what will it look like if dollars are worthless and you have to use precious metals as money? We've talked about this a little bit before, that, junk silver is a great way. The 90% constitutional coinage from before 1965 is a great way to have small denominations of silver that you might be able to barter with in the future. But do you have any thought of what that kind of system might look like and how people can prepare for that?
I really don't think you can prepare for it unless you're just a gold and silver buyer as you go along, right? Again, I believe that, anywhere from 5 to 10% of your net worth should be invested in precious metals. And, unfortunately, markets don't make an announcement of when the things are going to fall. And that's the big problem, right? It's like trying to time the overall market. When do we collapse? I don't know. Okay, when is it going to be gold and silver? If it is, I don't know. But you can see the handwriting on the wall, and when paper script becomes worthless, and it's becoming worth less and less every day, right? Because just look at your inflation bill. Again, there's so many time factors here together that we have to be prepared for what might happen. And the good news about holding gold and silver is if what I say doesn't happen, you're holding assets that have appreciated over time anyway. So you're holding an appreciating asset that, maybe it's based on dollars, but again, it's still an appreciated asset that you may someday need to actually eat. And that's the one thing that I would be concerned about.
And at the top of the interview, you mentioned how you hedge yourself as well against risk. Can you expand on more ways besides just holding precious metals that people can hedge against these risks?
Precious metals are not a hedge. Again, let's be clear where I come from. Precious metals aren't a hedge. I own precious metals because I think they have value. It's like I own a home because I think it has value. I think hard assets have value. When I'm hedging, I also hedge my gold. I use derivatives on those products. Okay. My current stock portfolio, let's say, I hold Apple. Well, I can hedge using derivatives against Apple and take my risk down from whatever it is to 2 or 3%. Okay. And still benefit if the market does go down because I'm going to accumulate more shares by using the derivatives model. I actually teach a class in that, which is what I do. But that's where I'm using. I'm using derivatives to protect, and almost today in today's world, everything that I can own that I can use options directly to that security, that's what I buy today. Now, because I have a business, I have to have a lot of mutual funds as well. I can beta weight and use the representing underlying securities that represent that same mutual fund that most have to use if they're using their own 401k in a business. But you can take your risk down from X because nobody knows what X is. But I can put you in and say you can put your risk at 3, 4, 5%, and that's it. And certainly 99% of the population can live with 3, 4, 5% risk if the world does come to an end.
And I think that's so interesting the way that you do that, because our whole channel is about being aware and prepared, and we don't really know what's going to happen in the future. But you're mentioning ways that we can really prepare for that and reduce our risk. If we look at kind of to wrap up and circle back here to 2023, this new year, did you want to remind our viewers some of the main risks that you're seeing and ways that people can protect themselves?
Well, I think energy risk is a big thing, right? I mean, yeah, crude oil's back down around $80. I think it's going to all-time new highs again. Biden has done a horrible job with our energy policy. Of course, listen, when you're getting paid off from Saudi and you're getting deals with Venezuela, the biggest criminals in the world, how much really do we think we affected the carbon footprint, by refining dirty, sticky oil from Venezuela? But in the meantime, so we have a high oil price. You're going to have high commodity prices. You're going to have high food prices. You're going to have less jobs. We keep eliminating jobs. Nobody's talking about even the drug shortage that's in this country right now. We don't have enough drugs for the people that need them. There's a lot of shortages across the board. So this is going to look, I think it looks very ugly. And I think it gets to a point where, there's not enough jobs, they're not making enough money, and who's going to support everything? And that's going to be the big problem. And that's kind of like the Great Reset. I mean, you could almost think that the current administration is planning that Great Reset and trying to destroy the middle class, just looking at small business. I mean, who can afford to be in small business today? So I think that's what you want to look into.